So you're thinking about moving to France? You're going to need to speak to Will, our senior client consultant. In this episode, we're actually going to sit down with Will and find out how he helps people move to France, but also discuss the costs of our services because you've been asking for those. And equally, find out more about his story, his journey to France, but also we're going to discuss, as a retired British military officer, what he thinks about safety in France. Hey Will, welcome to the podcast. Do you mind telling us maybe who you are and of course what you do at HCB?
Thanks, Rich. So I'm the senior client consultant at French Connections HCB, and I am that initial point of contact that many of our clients make when they look to find out some of the sort of problem sets within their own relocation journey. The way I do this really is I initiate they initiate the conversation with us through our booking form, YouTube, through the website. And then really it's just a conversation. We talk through where they are today, where they want to end up being, like a start point and a finish line. And through the conversation, we work out, where the holes of the knowledge is, but also like where the pinch points are. And then together, towards the end of the call, we sort of agree on a plan or a proposal from French Connections. And ultimately all that looks like is either a series of services from French Connections to assist them, or just talking through their general plan and just giving them the knowledge to go and approach it themselves.
Quick one for me, guys. If you're looking to move to France and you want help and want to find out more about how we can help you make this happen, just go on the QR code that's just going to pop up on your screens and visit our website to find out how we can help. And cool. So what do you think are the two best-selling services that you provide?
The best-selling services, it's very varied. Everyone's positions are unique naturally, and so everyone's coming at it from a different perspective. But the routine, I would say, is the sort of long-stay visitor visa, and then also the visa validation. And tied within that will also be the rental search. So that first 90 days that we help clients get so they can actually get their visa. And then the subsequent sort of 12-month and onwards, that long-term lease agreement that many people find very difficult to achieve.
And because our viewers have asked, how much do people pay for these services?
Sure. So the visa service itself, which is the fully comprehensive service, it's like a white glove service, is €2,500. We do the entire application for the client. They provide us
includes the booking fees as well.
Sorry, yeah. So €2,500 for the full service. This includes the booking fees through TLS Contact. We do the data gathering from the client, but then we build the application, book the appointment, work around the client's essentially diary and timetable. We will also then have a video call before their appointment to ensure that they're nice and calm about, what to expect on the day, what to say, what not to say, there's other things as well. And then once they get into country, we will validate the visa for them for €375 plus VAT. And that also includes the duty fee that we pay through the prefecture. And then the rental search, both 90-day and longer term, is €2,500 for both services wrapped in. So those are the three main things that I really see.
That's what you need to get you in country.
Yeah, certainly the 90 days is key, plus obviously the health insurance, which we assist with, and then also making sure that the client is fiscally stable. And where we really add value is that where a client is coming at it from, let's say, a sort of unique or nuanced position, we are able to cohere their application so that it passes muster. And essentially, it's about building a narrative and articulating that through the consulate, which we're able to do for our clients.
Yeah, and I think today, last month, we helped 50 people just in the last month. So we're not geniuses. We just do this an awful lot, right? I think that's what we try to remind people. And of course, we guarantee the outcome. So there's a delivered goods, reapplication, money back guarantee, which nobody wants. We want to find a solution, of course, beforehand, but it's always that peace of mind. I think there are an awful lot of people that do this these days, or do the relocation aspect and give advice, etc. online. But reminding everyone that you're not alone in the team doing this. You've got a team of paralegals, lawyers. We've got 3 High Court lawyers that work with us.
Totally, yeah. The if you see us, like the sort of the way people speak to us, you as well, the kind of calm swan that is sort of floating on the top of the water, whereas the real hard work, the kind of furious legs underneath the water is behind us, and that's where much of the skill is really. But we see so many different types of applications. It means that we're well versed in almost any case.
In any situation. And talking about those situations, you've recently moved to France. So for those that haven't yet watched Will on our YouTube channel, there's our lovely Lizzie who did a full interview when you were playing the bagpipes, which hopefully Will hasn't got his bagpipes with us. We'll probably get told off if we did so here. But Will, do you want to give, for those that haven't watched, and we'll put a link above us now just to be able to view your whole story or life story before joining French Connections. But you've now nearly been with us for a full 12 months. What's your journey to France been like, Will?
Great question. And it's been varied in many ways. We came to so my wife and I came to France actually from East Africa rather than from the UK or the US, where many of our clients come from. And because we had a pre-existing relationship with France, again, it wasn't the visa route; it was carte de séjour through the prefecture and things like that. So I was a slightly different sort of. I had a different route to market, so to speak. But by doing it myself, having done the carte Fatale, setting up my micro enterprise, all of the kind of niche but very important elements of moving has given me an acute empathy to those that are also moving, and you can really recognize where the pinch points are, and often also understand where people may not understand where the pinch points might be. So through experience, you're able to inform a plan and actually give, from a real life experience, really share in that.
Of course. And just generally speaking, your relocation has been also renovating a property.
Yeah.
And how's that going?
It's going well. It's a really fun activity. Really, it's an extraordinary journey. It's not something I've ever done before. So when I was leaving the army, I went through one of the relocation packages, one of the resettlement packages they offer. I was able to have access to was a building course, multi-skills building course in a college up north in north of England. So I've been putting some of those skills to test in my own home, and rather do it in my own home than someone else's. Yeah. So some of the tiling is slightly at an angle, and not every door closes, but it's just amazing. It's great to sort of come find a home, a place that is going to be amazing. It's already amazing, but you can see the potential.
Yep.
Planning it. Really like putting your own touch onto somewhere where every corner and every wall and every room you walk into, you can be proud of what you've achieved. So it's a work in progress, and we're yet to have the heating turned on. So we'll see what happens when we turn the boiler on.
So that's not yet finished, but well in progress.
It's habitable. Wow. It's habitable, and one half of the house works, the other half doesn't, and so we've got what we need thus far. So my wife and the little dog are happy. Which is important.
And so how are you finding that French lifestyle?
Loving it. Yeah. Really happy.
What about it?
We were something we were very keen to try and have was a bit of autonomy around our lifestyle. So choose the place you want to live, and then work out what happens after that. But similarly, find a home from which you don't need to go on holiday from. And in a sort of way, that means choose the place that you really love being in. The village we live in and the area we live in, as you're familiar with, it's close to your own heart, is a wonderful kind of agricultural, slow type of environment where the food you eat very much comes from the fields around the town that you live in. And the agricultural economy means that it's not sort of high tempo and sort of high rises. It's nice and relaxed. It's very similar to how I grew up in Scotland, which was agricultural sort of fields and middle of nowhere, and so you're linked to things when you want to be, and so there's that wonderful freedom that we've found there, and also that amazing community life that you get in France. The little villages, they're immensely proud of what they have, and it can be a hamlet of 9 buildings or a village of 8,000 occupants. They still have that same pride to say, This is our town, this is our village, and being a part of that is lovely.
Quick one from me, guys. If you're looking to move to France or actually anywhere else in Europe and you need to move money fast and you want to have a debit card at your disposal, you can use our partnership with Wise by using the link in the description box below or the QR code that's just going to pop up on your screen, and you'll be able to open your account with Wise super quickly. With our relationship with Wise, you'll also get a fee-free 1,000 GBP transfer or a free debit card. So don't hesitate, click on the link. And I think the other thing is, well, we'll show on the map now where you are. You're just a few kilometers away from Auch, which is the capital of the Gers, which is where I was born. And similarly to you, actually, I think in your interview, you mentioned that we had a similar background to our family and ancestry. Well, actually, I'm mostly Scottish. Only 15%, I think, of English blood runs in me. So, if we're going to talk about 100%, but who knows what else, right? I'm probably a descendant, as most Scottish people, of some Vikings that came along and didn't use HCB to relocate, right? But my parents found that very much so when they moved to France 40 plus years ago. They were living in the north of Scotland and found that the weather was a lot better, but the actual, even just the countryside in the way, the rolling hills, the kind of the people, the simplicity of life. And I'm glad to hear that that's still what you find there.
We were really welcomed. You know, there's a bit of a myth, well, certainly from my experience, around how people find moving to France. I was a little nervous about it. My wife knew the area very well. Her family had been there for sort of 15, 20 years or so. So she's very comfortable there, fluent French speaker. And I was a bit of an outsider. I felt like it anyway. And within days, you know, of moving in, picking up the keys and opening up the door for the first time, the Marie came around to say hi. You know, the doctor was there to say hi. Everyone was very, very just sort of, not joyous is the wrong word because that's too hyperbolic, but more just like, welcome to the community, welcome to town. Next weekend we've got this going on. Next month we've got this fete going on. We'd love you to be part of this. And so immediately we were wrapped up in the
And you're in the
town.
centre of a medieval village which has got one of the only 8 churches in France which has got a spiral.
Has a helical.
Helicoidal.
Exactly, a helical spire.
So people can see this on online, and I'm sure can Google this. But we'd love to come in and follow your journey in video and hopefully see what you do on a daily basis, Will, because I think you've got your whole diary scheduled around French Connections and your calls and what your daily activities are and in that village and what that looks like. And one thing that I was keen to actually, I think our audience will be very keen to talk about and to hear about. Well, there's 2 things here. The first thing is, of course, your involvement with some projects which are quite close to your heart, and of course we'd love to find out more about, which is actually projects that you're holding in the Ukraine. So which I think are fascinating, and I'd love you to share a bit more information to our audience and how you're trying to help the communities over there as well. But also from a retired British military officer, who of course must be pretty good at admin. So that's one thing. But the other thing is something that's coming up an awful lot is how is the safety of France. So if you don't mind, maybe just giving us a bit of information on, well, first what you're up to in the Ukraine, and then we'll talk about the safety in France.
Yeah, so the Ukraine project is fascinating. So I work for an organization called Tellus Conservation and the Nature Fund of Ukraine. At the start of the war, in 2022, the invasion of Ukraine from Russia, the National Park Network and the Environmental Agency lost most of their funding. They lost up to 30% of their workforce, and most of their kit and equipment just disappeared overnight. It was taken to the front line and re-established for the war effort. And since then, since Tellus Conservation's inception, we've raised just over $1.2 million. And with the Nature Fund of Ukraine, we have managed to put that back into and it's all philanthropic money as well, put it back into the National Park Network of Ukraine. So we're currently active in 500,000 hectares of Ukraine, supporting 11 national parks, working directly with the park directors and their management team to do infrastructure rebuild. We are doing landscape re-establishment, buying kit and equipment, tractors, chainsaws, doing ranger training, all of these things to support the war effort in a different way. Nature is infrastructure in its sense, and Ukraine's agricultural economy is completely vital to its survival, but also its rebuild. So we're doing what we can to help our Ukrainian brothers and sisters.
Awesome, and we'll put a link, of course, in the description to be able to
See that,
share that, and if people want to support you, I'm sure there's an ability to do so just below. And you've been out there.
I have, yeah.
Recently, what was it like?
It was an extraordinary place. An amazing. They are an amazing people who are under martial law, and their country is at war. So to see people having to deal with an existential crisis on a daily basis, even in their own capital city, on a nightly basis, is extraordinary. And
you were holding French Connections calls whilst you were there, weren't you?
I may or may not have taken some calls from Ukraine. Yeah. So I was in. Our operational footprint is quite expansive, so it's not just tied just to Kiev, and it allows us to the network is far and wide. But because it's such an extraordinarily advanced place as well, connectivity is great. So I can take French Connections calls on the go whilst I'm there.
Yeah, well, thanks to all the Starlinks and stuff.
Exactly.
They're working well. Quick one from me, guys. If you're looking to move to France and you want to find out how we can help you make this happen, just go on this QR code and you'll visit our website, or you can go in the description box below and click on the link. And of course, you can find out how we can help and all of the services that we provide. Hey, that's just an amazing thing, Will. Again, very proud to have you on the team, because that just shows also your kind of ethics and it's it's great that you can take the time to do that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And French Connections has allowed me to do that. It's amazing. Yep. I mean, part of my army resettlement was also I started a master's at the University of Edinburgh studying climate change management. I could overlay the two very, very neatly. And the protection of nature, Ukraine's biodiversity and its ecology is completely vital to how it will survive and rebuild. And it's just an honour to be a part of a team that's allowing us to do that.
Well done, Will. That's it's a great thing, and I think that kind of ties us into this question about safety. One of my very best friends, closest friends, Olivier, if you're watching, is actually in active duty, lieutenant colonel, soon to be colonel in the French army. And would love to join us on the podcast, but unfortunately, as being in active duty, he's tied to what he can say and not say. And we've discussed this. The reason I was wanting him to come on the show actually was because we get a lot of comments about people saying that at one stage there was an awful lot of propaganda in France, that Macron was trying to take France to war and preparing France for war, and people ask us those questions, right? It's kind of, there's a reality of you've seen that reality, and so I think Olivier once he's retired in a few years' time, maybe he might be able to come and tell us more about how France prepares for these kind of situations. But in your experience, I mean, everything is relative, sure. I mean, there's parts of France where you go into the outskirts of the cité, the banlieue, etc., where you probably need to be a little bit wary. But how have you found the security levels in France, just generally speaking?
I mean, your point being everything is relative is probably quite key to my answer. I was very fortunate in my army life. I lived in and worked in many different places, from East Africa, Northwest Africa, the Middle East, the Belizean jungle at times. So there were a variety of environments. Central London for a year and a half as marching around with a bearskin has its own security concerns. And mostly from tourists, admittedly. But and so moving to rural France, clearly, my understanding of what is not safe is different to perhaps someone who is coming from a part of America, because I've never been, I've never really lived in America, so I don't quite know what it's like. The point I'm trying to make is that you move to anywhere in the world and there are going to be dangerous parts of that community, big cities in particular. The wisest thing you can do is understand the community in which you live and work out, make good choices. It's simple as that. The other element, I think, in answer to your security question or safety question, it's not always linked to sort of human security, as in human to human security. Are you safe from another human being and crime? There's also the climate security as well.
Yes.
And so we've seen in France recently have been some fires and then also some flooding. And it's just very important to understand that when you are moving to a new place, you also want to have an understanding of perhaps the climate in which you're moving to as well. And
Sure.
I've had some clients recently ask, but particularly since the very tragic flooding in Texas, if I move to this part of France, am I inherently at a higher risk of flood danger?
Yeah. I've also had ones that ask me if there are hurricanes.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then, by the way, guys, there are no hurricanes.
No
in
hurricanes
France
yet. Yeah, not yet. Yeah. And so I would say France is an extremely safe country to live in. There are crime hotspots like there are in any country, any developed country. So, make good decisions, make informed decisions when you're moving to a place, or you're going to go to a new part of a big city. Try and get a good understanding of where you're actually going to.
Sure. And I think from a wider security element, France is obviously at the heart of NATO, very much involved with the general European kind of side of things, but also still in itself preparing, of course, for all eventualities. But I think it's generally speaking, from what my understanding, limited understanding is of the situation, is that it's if you want peace, prepare for war. So when people are saying that France is preparing for war, I think it's really fundamentally obviously preparing for the fact that it wants peace above all, and seeing a united Europe, of course, and being able to stand up against suppression, not warmongering, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is not a podcast related to geostrategic sort of tectonic plates. I recognise that, but also, But
people are asking these
totally,
questions.
Yeah.
Right? They're genuinely, you see it in the comments. We have it in the calls that we have, right? People are worried about these things, and and you see podcasts that are just dedicated to this these days, right? So,
I understand that. It's having an understanding of your global politics and
before you move, right? It's essential.
Yeah. But don't let the fear mongering turn you off from what is a very stable and safe country that is France. Yeah. And indeed, actually, Europe more generally.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's, something that we potentially even take for granted for us that haven't had the same experiences as yourself. And just generally speaking, coming back to the fact that it's just so well connected as well. You can get from somewhere very rural.
Yeah.
You can get easily to everywhere in Europe very quickly, safely. And you can even fly to the Ukraine, I guess. Is that how you got there?
Different routes, but you can get pretty close, yeah.
It's pretty amazing, guys. Hey, Will, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today, and it's been a pleasure working with you, mate. So I'm sure all of our audience will go and check out Will's bagpipe playings, and for those that want to support his noble actions, we'll also put a link in the description box. If you want to chat with Will, of course, you can schedule a call with him. Again, description box, you'll have all of that information. Thank you again for watching this podcast, and thank you for liking and subscribing. It means a lot to us. See you soon, guys.